So there's a report out there that the Spurs are looking aggressively for a swingman. Well, who could that be in free agency?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're doing the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs runner for Kansas 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you all back. Hope you had a great weekend. We thank y'all for being back right here on Locked On Spurs, your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. You guys are the everydayers. Keep on coming here every single day. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Kens 5 Plus app, YouTube. Pick a platform. We are there. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. You want to go to Monarch Money right now to take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, so what are we talking about today? If you're on YouTube, you can see it on the screen, but if you're not, we're discussing the recent report that the Spurs are aggressively looking for a swingman. Yeah, another wing guy. Who could that be in free agency, and what does that mean for a guy like, Devin Vassell? We'll talk about that. Then get to some of your comments y'all been leaving at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Just going to bring in our guest, everybody. He is back once again to start the week with us. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League, also on TikTok at Sweep the League Radio, and a guy that I'm jealous about right now because he went to the Dallas, Comic-Con, and apparently it's pretty good. And that's even underselling it, isn't it, Rudy? But before you answer that question, I'm going to get you properly introduced here with some walk-up music. So tell us about your weekend in Dallas.
Yeah, man. I went to the Dallas Fan Expo. Shout out to them. They did a really good job. But when I say that they put Fiesta crowds to shame, it was bad. It was, really elbow to elbow. Very, very big Comic-Con Fan Expo in Dallas. I did say, it put a lot of the cons to shame in San Antonio. And, I'll stand by that. It was just a massive thing. A lot of great celebrities. Yeah. I was kind of starstruck at all the celebrities there because we haven't really had that many those kinds of celebrities in San Antonio. Yeah, we have big ones, but not like this right here. But the vendors out there, Jeff, I saw an entire run of Generation 1, carded Transformers.
Wow.
I mean, the cheapest one I saw was like $800. I couldn't remember to tell you which one. I had a guy, quick story. I had a guy next to me approach one of the comic vendors and said, "Can I see that Amazing Fantasy 15 first appearance of Spider-Man?"
Yeah.
I think it was a 1.0, 2.0 grade, $17,000 price tag. So the guy, and this is funny, the guy said, "Give me a second." He called his wife. They were literally trying to figure out if they can purchase that $17,000 Amazing Fantasy 15, and I had it right next to me. I was like, "Oh my god!" I fanboyed. I almost cried, man. I've never seen an Amazing Fantasy 15 in my like that close to me ever. So amazing show. Definitely one you got to go to maybe next year. Maybe we'll get a party bus and head up there or something.
Yeah, very jealous. Very jealous you had that kind of experience. But I'll have my experience coming up soon. I believe the Big Terror Con in San Antonio. So that's coming up in a few days. I am hosting it. I'll try not to fanboy over the first guest, which is Mira Sorvino.
Yeah.
So, by the way, she still got it though.
I will say that the girls from Smallville that were at Fan Expo. Yeah, chef's kiss, man. They still got it. We'll just leave it at that. They still definitely got it for sure.
All right. Yeah, we definitely got to move on from that. Everybody, he is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. He is on TikTok at Sweep the League Radio. See it on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. So why is Rudy here? Well, we're going to be reacting to the recent report via Sharania of ESPN that the Spurs are aggressively seeking another wingman to add to the roster. So before we dive into some candidates that you like, I like, let's start off with just that report itself.
Yeah.
I was kind of taken aback by that because the Spurs, they got a guy named Keldon, they got a guy named Vassell. But if Shams is reporting that the Spurs are looking at other wingmen, that kind of told me like maybe the Spurs aren't sold on the current wing guys they got right now. Your thoughts, Rudy?
The possibility of that is really good. I mean, not being sold on guys, like Devin and Keldon. I don't buy it so much. What I do buy is the fact that they're probably not sold on guys like Malachi and Blake Wesley. So those are two guys that you're probably going to be looking at that are getting replaced. I think Devin, if he goes into a reserve role similar to Keldon, that helps their bench. That increases their bench depth to, monumental things right here, because it gives guys like two former starters, Devin and Keldon, who were starters for the Spurs a while back, puts them on the bench. And then if you go and get, another big man to maybe play alongside Victor, you can maybe throw Jeremy into the bench as well as another reserve role. So that strengthens their bench right there. But I don't think they've given up on Devin so much. I think it's just more of, we've seen what we've gotten out of Malachi. We're not really too much impressed with Blake right now. Right. Those are two guys that they probably want to move on from. And adding depth, the finals this year shows that adding depth and veteran leadership, it really, really helps. Alex Caruso is a prime example of the type of veteran leadership you need for a young team to get to that finals.
Yeah, you saw how deep the Pacers go. You saw how deep eventually the Knicks started. They had no choice to go. And, of course, the Thunder as well. You saw them go deep, and they are going to go deep moving for NBA Finals. So there's that. But when you look at the Spurs, and this going to the report via Shams, about looking for more swingman help, to upgrade it. First of all, I thought maybe let's just pump the brakes a bit. Devin is not chopped liver. He's not bad. He's not terrible. So there's that. I think the guy is still there, and it makes me believe that. Do you think maybe the swingman could be possibly Dylan Harper? Couldn't that be the answer to this? Your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at all three guys that are the top three picks in the draft, Dylan Harper, Cooper Flagg, and Ace Bailey, they are all pretty much swings. They can all shoot the ball. Sure. They can get to the basket. They're creative scorers. They do a lot very, very well. So Shams could be talking about that. I bet that number 2 pick, adding to Dylan Harper, or if he's not there, wink, wink, Dallas may end up going Dylan Harper. I said that before on here, but, adding a Cooper Flagg or even an Ace Bailey or somebody like that in the draft, that can solve a lot of questions for the Spurs on the swingman position. But there's a lot of great options out on the free agency market as of right now, whether they decide to, not pick up their player option, or, the team just doesn't want to re-sign them with their bird rights. There's a lot of great options right now.
Oh, for sure. Now, I definitely do not believe the Spurs seeking a swingman is a pressing need right now. I don't think it's up there with a big man. I think that still has to be addressed first and foremost sometime during this offseason and ahead of next season.
Yeah.
But if you do look at the swingman department that they currently have right now, Rudy, it's not terribly reliable. We know Vassell is streaky and he's inconsistent. That's been the knock on him since entering the NBA. Keldon, kudos to him. He's adjusted his role, his tenure here in San Antonio, but he's not, again, a reliable floor spacer. I think when you look for a swingman, I need to get myself a 3-and-D guy. I need to get a 3-and-D guy next to Victor and in that starting unit, or even off the bench. Mm-hmm. Somebody could shoot from deep. Somebody could defend multiple positions. And I think of those two areas, defense and shooting, still I think shooting is the bigger need out of your swingman, because let's face it, Vassell and Keldon and Malachi, he fell off the mat, and Blake Wesley, same thing. These guys are not reliable 3-point threats. They're not snipers, are they?
No, they're not snipers at all. I think Keldon's kind of improved his 3-point percentage. Devin can knock down the 3, but the consistency isn't always there. I mean, I know Spurs fans like to put Devin in, the all-star category a lot of times. And, he's got his prime ahead of him. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a career 14-4 guy. I mean, he shoots the ball really good from time to time, but he's not very consistent. Mm-hmm. You're looking at a 3-and-D guy. I'm sorry, getting a little mixed up there. One guy to look at who potentially what happens with Kevin Durant in the offseason is a guy like Nickeil Alexander-Walker out of Minnesota. He's an unrestricted free agent. They do hold his bird rights, but, you saw what he was able to do for Minnesota this year. If Kevin Durant goes to Minnesota, they're going to have to make a decision on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He would be a great fit for the Spurs. Another guy you can maybe look at here is Bruce Brown Jr. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent out of New Orleans. There's a lot of opportunities here for the San Antonio Spurs to add great players. Caris LeVert out of Atlanta. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent. But for right now, Devin, I think you've seen what you're going to get out of Devin. Keldon, we know what we're going to get out of Keldon. I think they got to look for more scores out there. And you're right, a 3-and-D type of player is good to have. But remember, when you've got this 7'4" guy behind you, you can lax a little bit on the defensive side. But those two guys right now, amongst others, are guys I like on the free agency market if they are not re-signed by their own team.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't think of a perfect segue to go into our first break here and come back talking about the available free agents the Spurs can dip into. Let's look at some of the names out there that could potentially be on the Spurs radar and address that, swing guy position that, at least according to Shams, the Spurs are looking to fill. He is Rudy Campos of Sweep the League. Follow him on TikTok at Sweep the League Radio. He's also on YouTube at Sweep the League. Yeah, so we'll get back in just a few seconds to talk about the available swingman. But first, I want to talk to you about Monarch Money. Hey, ever check your bank account and ask yourself, hey, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, spending all in one place. And you can just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Look, they got so many things available with Monarch Money. Easy collaboration, managing money with your partner smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, stay on the same page. How about all-in-one convenience? Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals. They got it all. That's where you got to go to Monarch Money right now. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com. There we go. And you get yourself 50% off your first year. Again, use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA, and that gets you half off your first year. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Rudy Campos. He is with Sweep the League. That's on YouTube at Sweep the League. Go search that on YouTube. Go subscribe right now. More on that in just a minute. We are talking about the recent report via Shams of ESPN that the Spurs are looking at swingmen to basically just beef up that department. Now, we both agreed in the first segment, it's not a pressing need right now. The Spurs do have adequate wings right now that could, hold over, until something pops up. But let's just say the Spurs actually say, yeah, no, we got to address this now. We got to bring in somebody ASAP. Who are some names that are out there? Now, I'll start us off here, Rudy, and you pretty much picked one guy that had on my short list, and that is LeVert out of Atlanta. I like what this guy has. What he's proven so far. He's a professional scorer. And this guy can get buckets. He can fit on this team almost seamlessly, provide points, not just in a starting role, but even off the bench if the Spurs want to go that route. Now, his defense may not address the 3-and-D need, but it has improved with this time with Atlanta and, of course, his time with the Cavaliers. 6'6" wing. I like that. He's not old yet. He's entering his prime. He's only, 31 years old. I like the fact that he is a capable double-figure scorer. He can give you those double-figure scoring, take you some pressure off a guy like maybe Fox or Wemby. And, again, he's proven that throughout his career. And, look, talk about the three part of the 3-and-D. Yeah, 41% shooting from the three-point line last season. I like that. He's at the top of my list. Who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, Caris LeVert is actually at the top of my list as for everything that you mentioned. He can get out there. He can score the ball. Love his defense. He shoots the three rock really, really good.
Really does.
I also mentioned the guy, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just like at the playoff performance that he had for Minnesota. He made some key, he had some key moments in their run in the conference finals to get to the conference finals. That's one guy that I definitely like. But one guy that I'm actually kind of high on above Nickeil Alexander-Walker is one guy I'm going to mention here, and that's Zaire Williams out of Brooklyn. He's going to be a restricted free agent. Now, again, we don't know exactly if Brooklyn's going to pick up the option. He's restricted, so he can get re-signed by them. But if he becomes available And also keep in mind the trade wind that kind of goes around the Brooklyn, the wanting number 2 for Harper, Cam Johnson. If the Spurs can finagle Zaire Williams in that type of deal as well, you're talking about a kid that's 23, going to be 24 here, averaged 10 points a game, a steal a game. So there's your defense right there. Shot about 41% from the field, about 34% from 3-point range. Not huge numbers there. I think he's a 10-4 guy. But again, 23 years old, a young prospect, a young guy that can come in, develop with the group here. He can give you some really good, meaningful minutes. He was averaging, I think, about 24 minutes last year. So again, I really like Zaire Williams, 6'9" guy. I mean, he can shoot the ball. He's probably number 2 on my list out of Brooklyn.
Yeah, another guy on my list is I'm going to see how you react to this name.
Yeah.
How about Dorian Finney-Smith?
Love it.
How about a veteran? About a veteran like that? You got a guy, again, if he opts out, I believe he might have a player option, but if he does opt out, Finney-Smith, I think, would be a great 3-and-D swing guy that Spurs can bring in right now. Another veteran. I like having another veteran on the roster. He's about 31 years old. He can guard multiple positions, and I believe that we've seen him play kind of small ball 5 before, whether it be in Los Angeles or just any other stop he's been with, even in Dallas. So you like this too. He can play defense. He can knock down the 3, 43% shooting from the field, and about 38% shooting from the 3 line last season. Now, of course, his attempts went down, I believe, last season, but nevertheless, I think he could be a guy that the Spurs can bring in, plug and play. And again, I like that veteran part of him. And the Spurs definitely use a guy that can guard multiple positions as well. So I got Finney-Smith. What do you think about him?
I like Dorian Finney-Smith a lot. Again, he checks off a lot of things that you're looking for when it comes to players in the league and guys that can actually help the San Antonio Spurs really, really right away. And I like that. You know what? He's probably not going to cost a whole lot if you think about it. He's going to be relatively right around the mid-level. Maybe, he's going to be higher mid-level, but he's going to be right around the mid-pay for players that, of his caliber. So I really like the Dorian Finney-Smith. I don't think he becomes a free agent. I think he's going to be re-signed, or he's going to just stay with the team. But again, another great guy that you can definitely plug and play with the Spurs. He makes a lot of sense for them. A couple other guys to keep a lookout for. If you need shooting, if he opts out, which I don't know if he will, because I don't know if he can get the same kind of pay. Look for Duncan Robinson at 31 years old. You got a sharpshooter right there that may be available. People are going to say, no, don't look at this guy. But again, if he opts out because he doesn't like where he is, would you take a flyer on a guy like Chris Middleton? Veteran. He's probably not going to want another $30 million a year contract. You probably can get him for right around that $19 to $24 million range. Maybe just do it for a year. Again, veteran guy. He's been an all-star. He's obviously been a champion with the Bucks. Really, really lovable guy when it comes to the fans and his teammates. You just use him similar to ways that the Spurs used Michael Finley, Steve Smith back in the day. Come in, knock down a few key shots. It's going to be easy for him because he's got great players around him. But if you can get him on the cheap, Middleton's another guy you can look at. Also, Amir Coffey out of the Clippers. Again, not a sexy name out there. But not a sexy name, but a guy that just comes in and does the little things right for your team. 6'7", averages about 9 points a game, couple rebounds, but he gives you what you need, meaningful minutes, and he's a young guy. It's not going to cost a whole lot. But when you put him up against guys like Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, these are guys that you want to put ahead of them and who are going to make an impact right away.
Yeah, I'm going to let me match you. Let me see what you think about this guy. What about Kelly Oubre from Philadelphia?
Man, he's kind of, and he was one guy that I looked at, but I think with Kelly Oubre, you get the inconsistency that's probably worse than what you're getting with Devin.
And his three-point shooting is not good. Not good.
I think, with Oubre, you get length. I like the length you get with him, but the inconsistency is just way too much to handle. Definitely a pass for me on Kelly Oubre, though.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think he's proven to be a capable scorer, but what kills it for me is that he's going to look at some numbers here. think 28% from the 3 line last season. Not good. And the Spurs definitely need help in that department. I'm throwing one more name here for you, and let me see what you're thinking about this guy. What about Malik Beasley out of Detroit?
Man, see, that's one that I really liked, but I really know that Detroit's going to do anything and everything. He's going to stay there. You saw the success the Pistons had this year, and Malik Beasley was one of the main reasons they had a successful year. But again, if Detroit makes the move and goes and gets, a high-profile player, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to get a Kevin Durant or something like that, but if they go out there and get a high-caliber player, Malik Beasley could be, one of the guys that say, well, we can't have you around anymore. He's an unrestricted free agent. He's about $6 million a year right now. So he's going to command a lot of money. Now, again, they don't have his bird rights. I believe he's just an unrestricted guy. So if the Spurs want to throw the bag at him, by all means, go ahead. I think he'll command right around maybe 14 to 17 million a year, which is not a whole lot for him. 16 points a game, 2 rebounds a game. I mean, almost a steal a game last year. Difference maker. Shot, I think, almost 40% from 3-point range for last year. He would be the number one option if we really felt like Detroit didn't want to re-sign him. So, I love Malik Beasley.
He is a 3-and-D guy. I mean, he is pretty much the prototypical 3-and-D guy that I look at right now. He can defend multiple positions, and I think for his career 3-point shooting percentage is about 40%, around there, 39-40%. Yeah. So he can definitely knock down that 3 shot there. So he gives you spacing. Again, he's definitely a guy that has been there, done that, been on a young team like the Pistons. And they were like rock bottom last year. Well, 2 years ago now. And then last year, they rose to the top. So he knows what it takes to really be of the young team looking to come out of their rebuild, as you saw in Detroit. But you're right. I don't think that will let him go that easily. I think last year he would command about $6 million. So he could come cheap. Yeah, $6 million. So he could come cheap. He'll definitely want a pay raise. Spurs can afford it, but I don't know about. Only I don't agree with you is if they throw a bag at him. I don't want them to throw that much at him.
A bag for me is, like I said, I think he deserves about between 13 to 16 a year. Okay. I think he's worked his butt off. That for me, that's the bag for the Spurs. I think that's throwing the bag at him.
Absolutely. All right. So there are some names that we threw out there. Again, we're not saying this situation with the wingman swing guy spot is a pressing need for the Spurs. It's not. We know what it is. It's right now to find another big man. But again, if the report via Shams is true and accurate, the Spurs are seeking aggressively for a swingman. We gave you some options right there. So obviously we have LeVert at top of our list. User out of Walker out of Minnesota. I mean, there are so many names out there, but we got to hear from you. What do you think the Spurs should do? Who should the Spurs target? Or is it just even in their backyard? Is it going to be Harper? Or is that swing guy possibly a guy? I mean, in the G League, at what position does Harrison Ingram play? Do you remember offhand?
I think it's like forward, like small forward.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's a guy in the G League the Spurs can target. Who knows? But we definitely got to hear from you.
I mean,
yeah, we got to see what the Spurs are going to do. Mm-hmm. So we got to hear from you, everybody. What do y'all think about the position that we're talking about right now? You let Rudy know on TikTok at Sweep the League Radio. Go there right now. You let me know by leaving a Locked On Spurs fan comment. We'll read it in a future episode. That's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to look at some fan comments. What are you guys talking about over at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page with Rudy Campos of Sweep the League? And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Rudy Campos. You see him on your screen right there. Give him a follow on X at Sweep the League. You do that right now. All right, Rudy, let's look at some Locked On Spurs fan comments. Let me cue them up here. I wonder if one fan comment is going to be like, we should align for the Rudy Campos autograph tape the Dallas con. Just couldn't get there. Let's see.
That'd be nice.
All right. You know what? Yeah, I've seen how well they can make some cash in those events, man. I usually, the cons that I host, I sit with them at the back, and they, when it's over, their time is over, is when they're sitting with their manager at a table privately and with a calculator. And they go over some numbers, and I'm like, oh, they're seeing how much they made, and I've seen stacks before. I've seen just stacks laying on the table.
Oh,
It gets wild. All right. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. This is a good one because we mentioned Dylan Harper. Let's go with that. This is from Joseph Alvarado, 7290. Brace yourself. He's throwing Harper and Kawhi together. So get this.
Okay.
I wouldn't draft Harper, he says. I worry about his dad being another Uncle Dennis. Plus, Ace Bailey can play offense and defense. So he goes on to talk about Giannis, blah, blah, blah. But what do you think about that? You know, how Ron Harper, the former Bull Laker guy, he's been kind of mouthy on, not even saying in a bad way, just vocal on Twitter or X about his son's NBA future. I don't get Uncle Dennis vibes. I think it's way too soon for that.
Yeah.
But for this commenter, Joseph Alvarado, to say, I wouldn't draft Harper, yikes. But he threw out a name out there, Ace Bailey, a guy that you're high on. What do you think about that whole situation? Is there any shades of Kawhi, Uncle Dennis? I don't think so.
No, I mean, let's be real. It's Uncle Dennis was not an NBA player. Ron Harper, former NBA player, like I said, one of the best two-way players we've ever seen in the game, you know, when he was with Cleveland. I really don't see any comparison at all. I think if you really look at Ron Harper, he's really just saying, wait till draft night. And that's exactly what I tell a lot of people as well. You are so high on a person, but you do not know 100% sure that that person is going to be drafted by the team. So, I mean, they can tell you all the right things, but at the very last second, they could change their mind and go Ace Bailey, or, hey, we have a trade, and they trade down. So, and that's exactly what Ron is saying. He's saying, don't over jump, don't jump over everything. You don't jump the gun. We got to first see who's going to take Dylan Harper.
Right.
And he could go one. I mean, I've said it already. He could possibly go one to Dallas. Cooper Flag's not 100% lock. So that's what he's saying. Don't worry about everything right now. He's not saying, well, Dylan's not going to San Antonio. I think Ron understands that if he comes to San Antonio, he's going to have a really good career. Going to be surrounded by great players already. He knows the front office. He knows the Spurs history. He knows that Tim, David, Manu, Tony, all these guys are camped in San Antonio. He's going to learn from the best. So why wouldn't he want his son to come to San Antonio with the type of history? So I wouldn't put anything into the Ron Harper situation. It's not Uncle Dennis. As far as Ace Bailey goes, he's number 2 on my prospect list. Out of all 3 guys, he has the highest ceiling still. Got a whole lot of development to go. The Spurs say, hey, we're taking Ace Bailey. I'm fine with that. He fills so many voids that the Spurs have at that wing position. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they decided to go that. But again, they're in a prime position at number 2.
Yeah, and look, the Spurs have done some wacky things before. How about the Josh Primo pick early in the first round? And remember, at that time, they were banking on his future potential. Remember, they weren't on the immediate impact. It was all about down the road. And you mentioned Ace Bailey, perhaps they could do that again. And by the way, I heard there's another NBA draft, talk podcast recently, and everybody's saying that they're high on Ace Bailey, and they're talking about Philadelphia possibly getting him. But the thing with Bailey is, will a team like Philadelphia invest in a long-term? Well, I don't say long-term, just a project player like Bailey when you got Embiid on board, who maybe wants to win now. You got Paul Embiid who wants to win now.
I can see that. So with Ace Bailey, let me paint a bad situation for him. If you don't have the patience that Milwaukee had with Giannis and Dallas had with Dirk, then you're gonna be a recipe for disaster. Give him a little bit. He's gonna make an impact, whether it's right away or not. You got to give him a little bit of time. The problem with Philadelphia is, I guarantee you, before the season starts, you're going to hear trade rumors about Joel Embiid. They don't want to put up with Joel Embiid for the next couple of years. Right. I mean, if they want to win now, they need to move Joel Embiid right away. And that's my thing right there. So drafting Ace Bailey would be tremendous for Philadelphia. That would help them because they're going to either move on from Paul George or Joel Embiid. Quite possibly both. If they're smart, they move both of those guys and just start this rebuild right now with Bailey and Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, I forget about the rookie McCain too. So
Yeah, McCain is another guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, their future is really bright right now.
All right. That's a good comment there. Appreciate y'all leaving that one here. All right, let's pick another one here. This is from Fred S2B4R. All right. Fred says the Spurs need 3-point shooting and rebounding. KD answers the 3-point shooting as a decent rebounder. Send Vassell plus Barnes plus the number 14, a future first-round pick, and some second-round draft picks out to Phoenix. And let's see what else they say. You draft Harper, then you go get a center, and that will be a great summer. All right. So back to the whole KD thing. Again, Spurs need 3-point shooting and rebounding. Yes, we know KD is a sniper. He can knock down the long ball. Check. Rebounding, he's decent. He's not Dennis Rodman, but he's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about this last time, KD versus Giannis. We both agreed that we lean towards Giannis. But would you consider KD a good consolation prize? Let's just say in this multiverse world where the Spurs land KD. Because technically, Fred is right. You're going to get 3-point shooting and you're going to get a rebound from KD despite his age.
I mean, if his consolation, yeah. I mean, I guess you could say that would be a pretty good deal right there. The only thing that with Kevin Durant is, well, it's a couple of things. His age is a big factor. I mean, really a couple of years maybe where you're going to get prime. You're at the end of his prime already pretty much. I feel. I could be totally wrong. He could be, prime for the next 20 years. I don't know. But with KD, you also got to factor this in. You've got Victor, you've got Stephon Castle, you've got De'Aaron Fox. Kevin Durant averages about 19 shot attempts per game. De'Aaron Fox is right around 16. I think Victor's at 17. Stephon Castle was at 12. So a lot of those shots are going to decrease, or KD's shots are going to decrease. Is Kevin Durant type of player to take on a role where, okay, I'm going to just kind of park myself here, take a jump shot here and there, or is he going to want the ball in his hand to create, to facilitate? That takes away from the other guys on the team. So is it a good thing you have Kevin Durant? It's good to sell tickets. I'll say that. It's going to be a magnificent. They're going to be but even at that, they're still going to be fine without Kevin Durant as a Spur. I think what they have right now is great. If they add Kevin, fantastic, but they've got to figure it out ahead of time before the season starts, how this is going to work, because if you're going to add Harper to the mix, that's a lot of guys right there.
Yep.
Can they coexist? I think they can, but when you've got so many mouths to feed, we've seen them pass, it doesn't necessarily work out right away. The Miami Heat didn't win the title their first year, so I mean, it doesn't work right away all the time.
Just look at the Suns this past season.
The NBA is getting away from the whole, dynasty type built and all this stuff. They're getting more towards the Oklahoma, the Indiana side. So it's a great name to sell tickets. It's going to help, but I don't know if it means title contenders right away.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the good thing about it, if the Spurs were to get KD in this multiverse world that we're in right now, it's not like KD has not been with a team with megastars, with established good, golly all-stars, his Warriors days. So there's proof there. But we'll see what the Spurs do. All right, there you have it. Some Locked On Spurs fan comments. We appreciate you guys leaving them. Keep them coming. We need you to help us out here in Locked On Spurs by giving us your talking points so we can discuss them right here on Los. Rudy, tell us about Sweep the League.
Yeah, so Sweep the League. You can go to our YouTube, search Sweep the League TV, hit the subscribe button. As you see on TikTok, we've also got at Sweep the League Radio or at Sweep the League Radio. Follow us on there, trying to build that brand up. We're going to go live on TikTok, which is a whole different show compared to what we do on Sweep the League. Grading the Mark has been knocking it out for Sweep the League TV, so be sure to check them out. We're on 24/7, so you can never miss a show or anything like that. You can catch all the content we got on our YouTube page, which is Sweep the League TV.
Absolutely. Again, he is Rudy Campos. Follow him on X at Sweep the League, and on TikTok, you can see on your screen at Sweep the League Radio. Maybe he'll let you cut the line in his panel desk. He's there the next con there. Cut the line and autograph him doing in a Speedo with a soda.
Hey, man, they charge $60 per autograph, these celebs. I pay you $60 to get my answer. So.
There you go. Yeah, do that. Yeah, exactly. See, another way to follow Rudy, man. He's a good guy to follow, man. Do that right now. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen every single day. Free and available wherever you get a podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Campos Plus app, YouTube. Make sure to subscribe ASAP. You guys are the everydayers. We'll be back tomorrow. I believe Hector Ledesma is on deck. Yeah, we're going to be discussing the Spurs. And, well, I'll just leave it just leave it there because I don't want to give it away. All right. Hector Ledesma is coming on tomorrow discussing all things silver and black. But it's a good topic. Trust me. It's a very good topic. Hey, before I let you go, make your second listen today be the Locked On NBA Big Board Show. NBA draft expert Rafael Barlow rests every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So for Rudy Campos, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.